Hippocrates of Kos is widely regarded as the father of medicine, a title that has endured for over 2 millennia. His contributions to the field of medicine were revolutionary, setting the foundation for a more systematic and ethical approach to healing. Before Hippocrates, medicine was often intertwined with religious beliefs and superstition, with ailments frequently attributed to divine punishment or supernatural forces. By emphasizing observation, logic, and ethical practice, Hippocrates helped establish medicine as a professional discipline based on rational principles. His legacy continues to influence medical practice and ethics, demonstrating the enduring power of his ideas. The significance of Hippocrates' contributions extends beyond the realm of medicine itself. His teachings helped shift human understanding of health and disease from the mystical to the empirical, paving the way for modern scientific inquiry. The impact of his work can be seen not only in medical literature, but also in the ethical frameworks that govern healthcare professionals today. The Hippocratic Oath, a declaration of ethical medical practice, remains one of the most well-known symbols of medical professionalism, guiding physicians in their duty to provide compassionate and responsible care. Born around 460 BCE on the Greek island of Kos, Hippocrates lived during a time when Greek civilization was flourishing intellectually and culturally. The classical era saw the rise of philosophy, art, and science, with figures such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle shaping the intellectual landscape. In this vibrant environment, Hippocrates sought to apply reason and systematic observation to the study of human health, challenging traditional beliefs that attributed disease to supernatural forces. His work laid the groundwork for a more empirical approach to medicine, influencing countless generations of physicians. One of the most significant aspects of Hippocrates' contributions was his rejection of supernatural explanations for disease. In ancient Greece, many ailments were thought to be the result of divine wrath, requiring religious rituals or sacrifices to appease the gods. Hippocrates, however, proposed that diseases had natural causes and could be understood through careful study of symptoms, environment, and patient history. This shift in perspective marked a turning point in medical history, encouraging a more scientific and systematic approach to diagnosis and treatment. The Hippocratic Corpus, a collection of medical texts attributed to Hippocrates and his followers, provides valuable insight into the principles and practices of early medicine. While scholars debate the extent of Hippocrates' direct authorship of these texts, the writings collectively represent the foundation of the Hippocratic tradition. They emphasize careful observation, logical reasoning, and the importance of understanding the body's natural processes. Many of the concepts introduced in these texts, such as the classification of diseases and the emphasis on patient-centered care, remain relevant in modern medical practice. Beyond his medical theories, Hippocrates is also remembered for his contributions to medical ethics. The Hippocratic Oath, although modified over time, remains a cornerstone of medical professionalism. The original oath emphasized principles such as non-maleficence, do no harm, patient confidentiality, and the responsibility of physicians to act in their patients' best interests. These ethical foundations continue to shape the medical profession, ensuring that healthcare providers uphold the highest standards of integrity and responsibility. Hippocrates' emphasis on clinical observation and patient care distinguished him from other healers of his time. Rather than relying on mystical interpretations, he encouraged physicians to assess symptoms, monitor disease progression, and consider environmental and lifestyle factors in treatment plans. This holistic approach to medicine was revolutionary in an era when illness was often attributed to divine or magical causes. By advocating for a patient-centered methodology, Hippocrates set a precedent for future medical practices that prioritize careful examination and diagnosis. The influence of Hippocrates extended beyond ancient Greece, as his ideas were later embraced by Roman, medieval, and Renaissance scholars. The Roman physician Galen, who lived in the 2nd century CE, built upon Hippocratic teachings, preserving and expanding them for future generations. During the Middle Ages, Hippocratic medical principles were studied and integrated into Islamic and European medical traditions, ensuring their survival and continued influence. Even with the advent of modern medical science, Hippocratic principles remain deeply embedded in medical education and practice. Despite the limitations of medical knowledge in his time, Hippocrates' emphasis on rationality and ethics continues to resonate in contemporary healthcare. While many of his theories, such as the humoral theory of medicine, have been replaced by modern scientific discoveries, his foundational approach to medical practice endures. The shift from mystical explanations of disease to empirical investigation laid the groundwork for the scientific advancements that would follow in centuries to come. His contributions remind us that medicine is not just a science, but also a compassionate art, requiring both knowledge and ethical responsibility. Hippocrates' legacy as the father of medicine is a testament to his enduring impact on healthcare and medical ethics. His teachings helped transform medicine from a mystical and superstitious practice into a structured discipline based on observation, logic, and ethical care. His influence persists in medical education, professional conduct, and the principles that guide physicians today. As modern medicine continues to evolve, the foundational ideas introduced by Hippocrates remain a crucial part of the profession, underscoring the importance of both scientific inquiry and moral integrity in the practice of healing. To fully understand the significance of Hippocrates' contributions to medicine, it is essential to examine the historical and cultural context in which he lived. The classical era of Greece, spanning from approximately the 5th to the 4th century BCE, was a period of remarkable intellectual, artistic, and political development. During this time, Greek civilization flourished, producing groundbreaking advancements in philosophy, science, and the arts. The achievements of figures such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle shaped the foundations of Western thought, and their influence extended into various disciplines, including medicine. It was in this intellectually fertile environment that Hippocrates sought to revolutionize the understanding and practice of medicine. The political landscape of ancient Greece during this period was marked by the prominence of city-states, or polis, each of which operated as an independent political entity. Among these city-states, Athens and Sparta were the most influential, engaging in both cooperation and conflict. The Peloponnesian War, 431 to 404 BC, fought between Athens and Sparta, had a profound impact on Greek society, leading to political instability and economic challenges. Despite these difficulties, the classical era was a time of cultural and scientific innovation, with Greek scholars striving to understand the natural world through reason rather than mythology. This intellectual movement created an environment that allowed medicine to develop as a discipline grounded in observation and systematic study. Before Hippocrates, medical practices in Greece were largely influenced by religious beliefs and superstition. The prevailing view held that diseases were caused by divine punishment or the whims of the gods, leading people to seek healing through prayer, offerings, and rituals performed at temples dedicated to deities such as Asclepius, the god of medicine. Asclepian temples, known as Asclepia, functioned as early healing centers where the sick would undergo purification rituals and seek divine intervention. While these sanctuaries provided comfort to the ill, they lacked a scientific approach to diagnosing and treating diseases. In contrast to religious healing, there was also a tradition of natural philosophy, in which early Greek thinkers attempted to explain the workings of the world through rational inquiry. Pre-Socratic philosophers such as Thales, Anaximander, and Heraclitus proposed theories about the composition of the universe, the elements, and the nature of life. Their ideas laid the groundwork for scientific inquiry by encouraging observation and logical reasoning. Among them, the philosopher Empedocles introduced the concept of the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water, which later influenced Hippocrates' theory of the four humors in medicine. Another significant development in the intellectual landscape of ancient Greece was the emergence of rationalist thought, particularly in the work of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. These philosophers emphasized logical reasoning and empirical observation, principles that would later be applied to medicine by Hippocrates and his followers. While Socrates focused on ethics and the pursuit of wisdom, Plato's Academy and Aristotle's Lyceum became centers of scholarly inquiry, encouraging systematic investigation into various fields of knowledge. The emphasis on rational thought during this period helped shift the perception of medicine from a mystical art to a systematic practice. The practice of medicine before Hippocrates was largely empirical, with knowledge passed down through generations in an informal manner. Early Greek physicians, known as iatroi, relied on a combination of herbal remedies, physical treatments, and anecdotal experience. Some physicians developed considerable skill in treating wounds, fractures, and infections, particularly those gained in battle. However, there was no standardized body of medical knowledge, and treatments varied widely depending on the healer's experience and personal beliefs. Hippocrates sought to change this by introducing a more structured approach to medical practice, based on careful observation and documentation of symptoms. One of the most profound changes introduced by Hippocrates was the rejection of supernatural explanations for disease in favor of natural causes. He argued that illnesses were not the result of divine punishment, but rather the consequence of imbalances within the body, influenced by environmental factors, diet, and lifestyle. This perspective aligned with the broader philosophical movement of the classical era, which sought to explain natural phenomena through reason rather than mythology. By applying these principles to medicine, Hippocrates helped establish a framework for scientific medical practice that would persist for centuries. The development of medicine in ancient Greece was also influenced by the expansion of trade and cultural exchange. Greek physicians had access to medical knowledge from other civilizations, including Egypt and Mesopotamia, where healing practices had been documented for thousands of years. The Egyptians, for example, had advanced medical techniques, including surgical procedures and the use of medicinal plants. By integrating knowledge from different cultures, Greek medicine benefited from a broader understanding of health and disease. Hippocrates and his followers built upon these earlier traditions, refining them into a more systematic and ethical approach to medical practice. Despite the progress made in rational medicine, the transition from mystical to scientific healing was gradual, and many Greeks continued to seek divine intervention for their ailments. The coexistence of religious and rational approaches to medicine persisted for centuries, with Asclepian temples remaining in use alongside the teachings of Hippocrates. Nevertheless, the shift toward empirical observation and ethical medical practice laid the foundation for future advancements in the field. The intellectual climate of the classical era provided the perfect setting for Hippocrates to introduce his revolutionary ideas, ultimately transforming medicine into a respected and systematic discipline. The historical and intellectual context of classical Greece played a crucial role in shaping Hippocrates' contributions to medicine. The rise of rationalist thought, the influence of early philosophers, and the increasing emphasis on observation and empirical study all contributed to the development of a more scientific approach to healing. By rejecting supernatural explanations and advocating for a methodical study of disease, Hippocrates helped establish the foundations of modern medical practice. His work marked a turning point in the history of medicine, ensuring that future generations would approach healthcare with a commitment to reason, ethics, and patient-centered care. Hippocrates of Kos, the figure widely regarded as the father of medicine, was born around 460 BCE on the Greek island of Kos, part of the Aegean archipelago. Though historical records about his life are limited and sometimes contradictory, his legacy has been cemented through centuries of admiration and scholarly interpretation. His life and work represent a turning point in medical history, as he is credited with transforming medicine from a mystical practice into a structured discipline grounded in observation and ethical principles. His teachings laid the foundation for a rational approach to medicine that remains influential today. The details of Hippocrates' early life remain largely speculative, but tradition holds that he came from a family of physicians. His father, Heraclides, and his grandfather were believed to be part of the Asclepiadae, a guild of healers who claimed descent from Asclepius, the Greek god of medicine. This lineage would have provided Hippocrates with early exposure to medical knowledge and practices. However, while the Asclepiads typically combined spiritual and empirical healing methods, Hippocrates sought to refine medicine into a more structured and scientific discipline. His departure from supernatural explanations of disease was a revolutionary step toward medical rationalism. Hippocrates is thought to have received his medical education in Kos, where he studied under established physicians and scholars. He likely trained at the Asclepieion of Kos, one of the most renowned healing centers of the ancient world. This institution not only provided medical care, but also served as a place of learning where physicians were trained in the art of healing. The teachings of the Asclepieion combined practical experience with theoretical knowledge, forming the foundation of Hippocrates' medical philosophy. Additionally, Hippocrates was believed to have traveled extensively throughout Greece and beyond, gaining knowledge from different medical traditions and refining his understanding of disease and treatment. One of the most significant aspects of Hippocrates' career was his emphasis on direct clinical observation. He believed that careful examination of patients, their symptoms, and their surroundings was crucial for diagnosing and treating illnesses. This approach contrasted sharply with earlier medical practices that often relied on religious rituals or abstract theories rather than empirical evidence. Hippocrates taught that physicians should systematically record their observations, a practice that would later form the basis of medical case studies and patient history-taking in modern medicine. Beyond his contributions to medical practice, Hippocrates is often credited with authoring or inspiring the Hippocratic corpus, a collection of approximately 60 medical texts. However, scholars debate whether Hippocrates himself wrote these works, as many were likely compiled by his followers over the centuries. Regardless of authorship, the Hippocratic corpus contains invaluable insights into ancient medical theories, clinical practices, and ethical guidelines. The texts cover a wide range of topics, including anatomy, pathology, surgery, and dietetics, reflecting a comprehensive approach to medicine. A key element of Hippocrates' medical philosophy was the belief that disease resulted from natural causes rather than divine punishment. This perspective was groundbreaking in an era when illnesses were often attributed to the whims of the gods. He proposed that factors such as diet, environment, and lifestyle played a crucial role in health and disease. This holistic approach emphasized balance within the body and harmony with nature, leading to the development of the humoral theory, which suggested that health depended on the equilibrium of four bodily fluids: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. While this theory was later replaced by modern scientific understandings, it dominated medical thought for centuries. Hippocrates was also a strong advocate for ethical medical practice, a legacy most clearly reflected in the Hippocratic Oath. This oath, which remains a symbol of medical ethics, outlines principles such as patient confidentiality, non-maleficence, and the moral responsibility of physicians. Though modified over time, the fundamental values expressed in the oath continue to guide medical professionals today. Hippocrates' emphasis on ethical conduct established the framework for professional integrity in medicine, reinforcing the idea that a physician's duty was to heal and protect life without personal or financial exploitation. In addition to his intellectual contributions, Hippocrates' reputation as a skilled physician spread across Greece and beyond. Stories about his medical prowess, though often embellished over time, depict him as a healer capable of treating even the most severe illnesses. According to legend, he was summoned to cities suffering from plague and used his knowledge of environmental health and hygiene to mitigate the spread of disease. While these accounts may be exaggerated, they reflect the high esteem in which he was held during and after his lifetime. His fame as a physician contributed to the widespread adoption of his medical principles throughout the ancient world. Hippocrates' later years remain shrouded in mystery, and historical records provide little detail about his final days. He is believed to have lived a long life, possibly reaching his 80s or 90s, an impressive feat in an era when life expectancy was significantly lower due to disease and limited medical knowledge. His death, estimated to have occurred around 370 BCE, marked the end of an era, but his teachings continued to shape medical thought for generations. His students and followers, including notable physicians such as his sons Thessalus and Draco, helped preserve and expand upon his teachings, ensuring that his medical philosophy endured. The life of Hippocrates was one of intellectual curiosity, scientific advancement, and ethical transformation in medicine. His contributions not only revolutionized medical practice in ancient Greece, but also laid the foundation for the future of healthcare worldwide. By rejecting superstition, emphasizing clinical observation and establishing ethical guidelines. Hippocrates fundamentally changed the role of the physician in the practice of medicine. Though much about his life remains uncertain, his enduring legacy continues to inspire physicians, scholars, and medical professionals, reinforcing his status as one of the most influential figures in medical history. The Hippocratic Corpus is one of the most significant collections of medical texts in history, forming the foundation of Western medicine. Although traditionally attributed to Hippocrates himself, modern scholars recognize that the corpus was likely written by multiple authors over several centuries. Nevertheless, the texts reflect the principles and teachings associated with the Hippocratic school of medicine, emphasizing observation, rational diagnosis, and ethical medical practice. This collection played a pivotal role in shaping medical knowledge in antiquity and continued to influence medicine throughout the medieval and Renaissance periods. Comprising approximately 60 treatises, the Hippocratic Corpus covers a wide range of medical topics, including anatomy, physiology, pathology, surgery, gynecology, epidemiology, and ethics. The texts were likely compiled between the 5th and 3rd centuries BCE, representing a diverse set of medical perspectives that evolved over time. Some of the works are highly practical, offering detailed instructions on treating wounds, fractures, and diseases, while others are more theoretical, discussing the nature of illness and the principles of medical philosophy. Despite their varied origins, the writings share a common emphasis on empirical observation and systematic documentation. One of the defining characteristics of the Hippocratic Corpus is its clinical approach to medicine. The texts advocate for careful examination of the patient's symptoms, medical history, and environmental factors to determine the underlying cause of illness. This method marked a departure from earlier traditions that relied on supernatural explanations or speculative theories. By prioritizing direct observation, Hippocratic physicians established a precedent for the scientific method, which remains central to modern medical practice. The corpus also introduced detailed case studies, allowing physicians to learn from past experiences and refine their diagnostic skills. A fundamental concept presented in the Hippocratic Corpus is the theory of the four humors, which became the dominant medical framework for over 2,000 years. According to this theory, the human body contains four essential fluids: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, each associated with specific physical and emotional characteristics. Health was believed to depend on the balance of these humors, while disease resulted from an imbalance. Physicians sought to restore equilibrium through dietary adjustments, lifestyle changes, and treatments such as bloodletting and purging. Although this theory has since been replaced by modern biomedical science, it played a crucial role in shaping the development of medicine in both the ancient and medieval worlds. Another significant aspect of the corpus is its focus on prognosis rather than mere diagnosis. While earlier medical traditions concentrated on identifying diseases, Hippocratic physicians emphasized predicting the course of an illness based on observed symptoms. The ability to anticipate the progression of a disease allowed physicians to provide more effective treatment and prepare patients and their families for potential outcomes. This emphasis on prognosis contributed to the development of a more systematic and forward-thinking approach to medical care. The Hippocratic Corpus also includes texts on epidemiology and public health, reflecting an awareness of how environmental and social factors influence disease. Treatises such as Airs, Waters, Places discuss the impact of climate, geography, and living conditions on health, making connections between disease prevalence and external conditions. This early recognition of epidemiological patterns laid the groundwork for later advancements in public health and preventive medicine. The text demonstrates that Hippocratic medicine extended beyond individual patient care, addressing broader concerns about community well-being and environmental health. Surgical practices are another area extensively covered in the corpus. Works such as on fractures and on joints provide detailed descriptions of techniques for treating injuries, including bone fractures and dislocations. These texts emphasize the importance of precision, cleanliness, and careful handling of the human body, principles that align with modern surgical practices. The corpus also contains descriptions of rudimentary surgical tools and procedures, showcasing an early understanding of the mechanics of the body and the necessity of careful intervention. Despite its many advancements, the Hippocratic corpus was not entirely free from errors or limitations. The text contained various inaccuracies in anatomy and physiology, as dissection of human cadavers was not widely practiced in ancient Greece. Many of the anatomical descriptions were based on observations of wounded soldiers or animal dissections, leading to misconceptions about human biology. Furthermore, while the corpus introduced rational explanations for disease, some of its treatments remained speculative and ineffective by modern standards. However, its emphasis on empirical observation and ethical practice laid the foundation for future medical progress. The influence of the Hippocratic corpus extended far beyond ancient Greece. During the Roman era, physicians such as Galen of Pergamon expanded upon Hippocratic teachings, incorporating them into a broader medical framework that dominated European and Islamic medicine for centuries. The corpus was preserved and studied in medieval Islamic and Christian medical schools, serving as a key source of medical knowledge until the Renaissance. Even with the advent of modern medical science, the principles outlined in these texts, such as careful observation, ethical practice, and patient-centered care, continue to shape contemporary medicine. The Hippocratic corpus represents one of the most important milestones in the history of medicine. Though its authorship remains debated, the collection embodies the spirit of Hippocratic medicine, advocating for rational, systematic, and ethical medical practice. Its influence endured for millennia, guiding physicians across different civilizations and shaping the evolution of medical thought. By emphasizing empirical observation, prognosis, and patient care, the corpus laid the groundwork for modern clinical practice, ensuring that Hippocrates' legacy as the father of medicine would persist through the ages. One of the most enduring legacies of Hippocrates is the Hippocratic Oath, a foundational text in medical ethics that has guided physicians for over 2 millennia. This oath, traditionally attributed to Hippocrates, outlines the ethical responsibilities of medical practitioners, emphasizing principles such as patient welfare, confidentiality, and professional integrity. While modern adaptations of the oath have evolved to reflect contemporary values and medical advancements, its core message remains relevant, reinforcing the idea that medicine is not merely a technical discipline, but also a moral vocation. The original Hippocratic Oath, written in Ionic Greek, was likely composed between the 5th and 4th centuries BCE, though its exact authorship remains uncertain. The oath begins with an invocation to the healing gods, Apollo, Asclepius, Hygeia, and Panacea, indicating the religious and philosophical context of medicine in ancient Greece. However, despite this divine appeal, the oath primarily focuses on the ethical duties of physicians rather than supernatural healing, reflecting the rational and humanistic approach characteristic of Hippocratic medicine. One of the central tenets of the Hippocratic Oath is the commitment to beneficence, the principle that physicians must act in the best interest of their patients. The oath instructs doctors to apply all measures required for the benefit of the sick and to avoid causing harm. This aligns with the concept of non-maleficence, the ethical obligation to refrain from actions that could harm patients. These principles continue to be fundamental in modern medical ethics, forming the basis of the physician's duty to prioritize patient well-being above all else. Another key ethical standard established in the oath is the prohibition of harmful treatments and unethical practices. The original text explicitly forbids physicians from administering deadly drugs or engaging in practices that could lead to harm. It also contains a clause against performing surgical procedures such as lithotomy, the removal of kidney stones, emphasizing the importance of specialization in medicine. This early recognition that certain procedures require specialized training foreshadowed the later development of surgical disciplines and medical expertise. The principle of patient confidentiality, a cornerstone of modern medical ethics, also originates from the Hippocratic Oath. The text states that physicians must keep all patient information private, ensuring that personal health matters remain confidential. This ethical obligation fosters trust between doctors and patients, reinforcing the idea that medical practitioners must handle sensitive information with discretion. Today, confidentiality remains a legal and ethical requirement in medical practice, enshrined in laws such as the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, in the United States and similar regulations worldwide. Another critical element of the oath is the moral integrity of the physician. It calls upon doctors to uphold the dignity of their profession, instructing them to behave with purity and holiness in their practice. This reflects the broader humanistic ideals of Hippocratic medicine, which emphasize not only technical skill, but also the character and virtue of the physician. The notion that doctors should embody honesty, humility, and compassion remains a guiding principle in medical training and professional conduct today. While the original Hippocratic Oath set high ethical standards, it also reflected the cultural and social norms of its time. For example, some interpretations of the oath suggest a prohibition against abortion and euthanasia, topics that continue to be debated in modern medical ethics. Additionally, the oath assumes an apprenticeship model of medical education, in which students pledge loyalty to their teachers and commit to passing on their knowledge to future generations. Although the structure of medical training has evolved, the emphasis on mentorship and the ethical duty to educate remains a fundamental aspect of the profession. Over the centuries, the Hippocratic Oath has undergone numerous revisions and adaptations to align with changing medical practices and societal values. In the 20th century, Dr. Louis Lasagna, an American physician and medical educator, composed a modern version of the oath that emphasizes patient care, scientific integrity, and professional responsibility. Many medical schools around the world now use variations of the original oath, incorporating contemporary ethical principles while preserving the spirit of Hippocratic ideals. Despite its adaptations, the Hippocratic Oath continues to serve as a symbol of medical ethics and professionalism. Many medical students recite a version of the oath upon entering the profession, signifying their commitment to ethical practice and lifelong dedication to healing. While not legally binding, the oath functions as a moral compass, reminding physicians of their responsibility to uphold ethical standards in their interactions with patients and society. The Hippocratic Oath remains one of the most influential ethical documents in medical history. Its emphasis on beneficence, non-maleficence, confidentiality, and professional integrity has shaped the ethical foundation of medical practice for over 2,000 years. While the oath has been revised and adapted to fit modern contexts, its core message endures, highlighting the physician's duty to heal, to act with compassion, and to uphold the dignity of the medical profession. As medicine continues to evolve, the fundamental ethical principles established by Hippocrates will remain essential in guiding future generations of healthcare practitioners. The impact of Hippocrates and his medical teachings extended far beyond ancient Greece, shaping the development of medicine in the Roman Empire, the Islamic Golden Age, and medieval Europe. His emphasis on empirical observation, rational diagnosis, and ethical medical practice laid the foundation for future medical advancements across diverse civilizations. The transmission and adaptation of Hippocratic medicine ensured its survival through centuries of social and scientific change, influencing countless physicians and scholars who built upon his legacy. During the rise of the Roman Empire, Greek medical knowledge, including Hippocratic principles, became integrated into Roman society. Roman physicians, including Galen of Pergamon, 129 to 216 CE, played a key role in preserving and expanding Hippocratic medicine. Galen, one of the most influential medical thinkers of antiquity, embraced Hippocrates' humoral theory and further developed it into a complex system of medical thought. His extensive writings, which combined Hippocratic teachings with his own anatomical discoveries, dominated medical education for over 1,000 years. Roman medicine also emphasized public health, with innovations such as aqueducts, sanitation systems, and military hospitals, demonstrating a practical application of Hippocratic ideals regarding disease prevention and environmental health. With the decline of the Western Roman Empire, much of Europe fell into a period of stagnation, but Hippocratic medicine found a new home in the Islamic world. During the Islamic Golden Age, 8th to 14th century CE, scholars in the Middle East actively translated and preserved Greek medical texts, including the Hippocratic corpus. Physicians such as Rhazes, Al-Razi, 854 to 925 CE, and Avicenna, Ibn Sina, 980 to 1037 CE, expanded on Hippocratic and Galenic principles, incorporating their own clinical observations and experimental methods. Avicenna's The Canon of Medicine, which synthesized Hippocratic teachings with new medical insights, became one of the most influential medical texts in both the Islamic and Christian worlds. Hippocratic medicine also played a crucial role in medieval European medicine, especially following the 12th century Renaissance of learning. During this period, Latin translations of Arabic medical texts reintroduced Greek medical knowledge to Western Europe. Medieval medical schools, such as those in Salerno, Montpellier, and Bologna, relied heavily on Hippocratic and Galenic principles, shaping the education of physicians for centuries. The emphasis on humoral theory, clinical observation, and ethical conduct persisted in medieval medical practice, influencing how diseases were understood and treated. Despite its continued relevance, medieval Hippocratic medicine was deeply intertwined with religious beliefs and superstitions. While Hippocrates had championed natural causes of disease, medieval physicians often combined his teachings with spiritual explanations, believing that illnesses could result from divine punishment or demonic possession. As a result, treatments frequently included prayers, religious relics, and astrological consultations, alongside traditional Hippocratic remedies. This fusion of science and spirituality reflected the cultural and intellectual landscape of the time, in which medical knowledge was often shaped by religious doctrine. One of the most enduring aspects of Hippocratic medicine in medieval Europe was the practice of medical ethics. The Hippocratic Oath and its moral principles influenced the development of medical guilds and professional codes of conduct. Physicians were expected to adhere to ethical standards in their treatment of patients, reinforcing the idea that medicine was a noble and morally guided profession. This ethical tradition persisted throughout the Middle Ages and later informed the establishment of formal medical institutions in the early modern period. Public health practices in medieval cities also reflected Hippocratic insights on environmental factors. During outbreaks of plagues and epidemics, such as the Black Death, 1347 to 1351 CE, physicians and city officials attempted to implement quarantine measures, sanitation improvements, and dietary regulations. Though limited by their medical knowledge, these efforts demonstrated a recognition of Hippocrates' belief in the connection between disease and external conditions. Over time, these ideas contributed to the development of epidemiology and preventive medicine. The invention of the printing press in the 15th century played a crucial role in disseminating Hippocratic medical knowledge more widely. With the ability to mass-produce medical texts, Hippocratic and Galenic treatises became more accessible to scholars across Europe. The Renaissance saw a revival of anatomical studies and experimental medicine, further building on Hippocratic principles of observation and empirical research. While some of Hippocrates' theories, such as the humoral theory, were eventually disproven, his methodological approach and ethical principles remained foundational to the scientific revolution in medicine. By the early modern period, Hippocratic medicine had evolved into a global influence, shaping medical practices in both the East and West. Though later scientific discoveries, such as germ theory and anatomical dissection, replaced some aspects of Hippocratic medicine, the fundamental principles of clinical observation, patient-centered care, and medical ethics remained intact. The continued study of Hippocratic texts in medical schools ensured that his legacy endured, influencing modern medical education and practice. The influence of Hippocratic medicine transcended its origins in ancient Greece, shaping medical thought in Rome, the Islamic world, and medieval Europe. Through translations, adaptations, and scholarly engagement, his principles remained relevant across different historical periods and cultural contexts. Despite the eventual decline of certain medical theories, Hippocrates' emphasis on empirical observation, ethics, and public health laid the foundation for modern medicine. His legacy continues to be honored in medical traditions worldwide, reflecting the lasting impact of his revolutionary contributions to healthcare and medical ethics. The influence of Hippocratic medicine was profound and long-lasting, but as scientific advancements progressed, many of its foundational concepts were challenged and eventually replaced. By the early modern period, medical knowledge underwent a transformation driven by the scientific revolution, new discoveries in anatomy, microbiology, and pathology, and the increasing use of experimental methods. While Hippocratic principles of careful observation and ethical practice remained relevant, the underlying medical theories, such as the humoral theory, gradually fell into decline. One of the earliest challenges to Hippocratic medicine came from the field of anatomy. In the 16th century, the Flemish physician Andreas Vesalius, 1514 to 1564, revolutionized the study of human anatomy by conducting detailed dissections and publishing De Humani Corporis Fabrica, on the fabric of the human body. Unlike Hippocratic physicians, who had relied primarily on external observation and limited dissection, Vesalius provided empirical evidence of the body's internal structures, correcting many misconceptions inherited from earlier Greek and Roman medical texts. His work demonstrated that direct anatomical study was essential for understanding human physiology, marking a significant departure from the Hippocratic tradition. Another major shift occurred in the 17th century with the work of William Harvey, 1578 to 1657, who discovered the circulation of blood. While Hippocratic medicine had described the body in terms of four humors and their balance, Harvey's research demonstrated that blood moved through the body in a closed system, powered by the heart. This breakthrough challenged the ancient belief in bloodletting as a primary treatment, a practice that had been based on humoral theory. Harvey's findings represented a turning point in medicine, signaling a move toward mechanistic and physiological explanations for bodily functions. The decline of Hippocratic medicine accelerated with the development of microbiology in the 19th century. The discovery of germ theory by Louis Pasteur, 1822 to 1895, and Robert Koch, 1843 to 1910, fundamentally changed how diseases were understood. While Hippocratic physicians had attributed illness to imbalances in bodily fluids and environmental influences, germ theory provided concrete evidence that microorganisms were responsible for infections and diseases. This realization led to revolutionary advancements in hygiene, vaccination, and antibiotic treatments, rendering many traditional Hippocratic treatments obsolete. Similarly, the rise of pathology and cellular biology in the 19th and 20th centuries further distanced medicine from Hippocratic ideas. The work of Rudolf Virchow, 1821 to 1902, who introduced the concept that diseases originate at the cellular level, replaced earlier notions of disease based on humorism. This shift allowed physicians to diagnose and treat illnesses with greater precision, leading to the development of modern medical specialties such as oncology, cardiology, and neurology. The growing reliance on microscopy, laboratory research, and clinical trials solidified a more scientific and evidence-based approach to medicine. Despite the decline of Hippocratic theories, many of his ethical principles and clinical methods remained relevant. The Hippocratic Oath, for instance, continued to serve as an ethical guideline for physicians, even as medical practices evolved. The emphasis on patient care, confidentiality, and non-maleficence became embedded in modern medical codes, ensuring that the moral foundations of Hippocratic medicine persisted even as its scientific theories were replaced. Moreover, Hippocrates' emphasis on holistic medicine, the idea that health is influenced by lifestyle, environment, and mental well-being, has seen a resurgence in contemporary medical practice. While modern medicine is primarily driven by pharmacology and technological interventions, there is increasing recognition of the importance of diet, exercise, and psychological health in disease prevention and treatment. Many principles found in preventive medicine, nutrition science, and integrative medicine can be traced back to the teachings of Hippocrates. The integration of Hippocratic ideals with modern science is evident in fields such as epidemiology and public health. Hippocrates was one of the first to suggest that diseases could be influenced by environmental factors, an idea that has been validated by modern studies on the effects of pollution, climate, and socioeconomic conditions on health. His legacy is also visible in the continued focus on patient-centered care, a principle that guides medical ethics and practice today. While Hippocratic medicine has largely been superseded by modern scientific advancements, its influence remains deeply embedded in the philosophy and ethics of medicine. The transition from Hippocratic theories to modern science represents not just a shift in knowledge, but an evolution in how medicine is practiced and understood. Rather than being completely discarded, Hippocratic ideas have been selectively integrated, adapted, and refined to fit the needs of contemporary medicine. The decline of Hippocratic medicine was not a rejection of its core values, but a necessary evolution toward a more precise and evidence-based understanding of health and disease. While its theories on humorism and disease causation have been replaced, its principles of careful observation, ethical practice, and patient well-being continue to shape the medical profession. The transition from ancient medical philosophy to modern biomedical science reflects the dynamic nature of medicine, demonstrating that while knowledge may change, the fundamental commitment to healing remains constant. Although the scientific advancements of the 19th and 20th centuries led to the decline of many Hippocratic theories, the fundamental ideals of Hippocratic medicine have continued to shape modern healthcare. In the 21st century, the principles of holistic care, ethical practice, patient-centered treatment, and preventive medicine, all core elements of Hippocratic thought, have experienced a resurgence in medical philosophy. While modern medicine is driven by technological innovation and biomedical discoveries, the legacy of Hippocrates remains evident in the way healthcare is practiced today. One of the most significant ways in which Hippocratic ideals persist is through medical ethics. The Hippocratic Oath, though modified over time, continues to serve as a foundational ethical guideline for physicians worldwide. Modern adaptations of the oath emphasize patient autonomy, informed consent, and professional integrity, principles that align with the ethical framework first proposed by Hippocrates. Organizations such as the World Medical Association, WMA, have developed international codes of ethics that are directly inspired by Hippocratic values, ensuring that medicine remains a moral as well as a scientific practice. Another key area where Hippocratic medicine has influenced modern healthcare is in the holistic approach to patient care. Unlike early modern medicine, which often focused on treating specific symptoms or diseases in isolation, contemporary medicine increasingly recognizes the importance of treating the patient as a whole. This shift is evident in fields such as integrative medicine, mental health care, and lifestyle medicine, which prioritize the interconnection between physical, emotional, and social well-being. Hippocrates' belief that the natural forces within us are the true healers of disease has found new relevance in approaches that emphasize preventive care, nutrition, and mental health management. The growing emphasis on preventive medicine also reflects the revival of Hippocratic thought. In contrast to traditional models of healthcare that focus on treating illness after it arises, modern medicine has increasingly turned to disease prevention, public health initiatives, and early intervention strategies. Hippocrates was one of the first to advocate for diet, exercise, and environmental awareness as essential components of health, a philosophy that underpins contemporary public health programs aimed at combating chronic diseases such as obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disorders. The Hippocratic idea of letting food be thy medicine is particularly relevant in the rise of nutritional science and functional medicine, which seek to use dietary interventions as a means of preventing and managing disease. Hippocratic ideals also remain influential in the field of medical education. The concept of apprenticeship and mentorship in medical training, which was central to Hippocratic teaching, continues to shape the structure of modern medical education. In medical schools around the world, students undergo clinical training under the supervision of experienced physicians, following a tradition that dates back to ancient Greece. The emphasis on practical learning, patient interaction, and ethical responsibility can all be traced to the educational methods pioneered by Hippocrates and his followers. The patient-physician relationship, a cornerstone of Hippocratic medicine, has also seen a revival in contemporary healthcare models. In an era where technology and bureaucracy often dominate medical practice, there is increasing recognition of the need to restore compassionate, patient-centered care. Movements such as narrative medicine, which emphasize the importance of listening to patients' stories and understanding their experiences, echo the Hippocratic commitment to individualized treatment. The shift from impersonal, symptom-based medicine to personalized and empathetic care aligns closely with the principles of Hippocratic practice. Moreover, the role of environmental and social factors in health, a key element of Hippocratic thought, is now a major focus in modern medicine. The rise of environmental health sciences, occupational medicine, and social determinants of health research reflects Hippocrates' early insights into how surroundings influence disease. Today, physicians and public health officials recognize that factors such as pollution, urbanization, climate change, and socioeconomic disparities play a crucial role in shaping health outcomes. This perspective reinforces the Hippocratic belief that health is not merely an individual issue, but a societal one that must be addressed through collective action. Despite the advances in medical technology, some of the traditional practices inspired by Hippocratic medicine remain in use today. Techniques such as herbal medicine, therapeutic fasting, and dietary modifications, which Hippocrates recommended, are now being scientifically investigated for their potential health benefits. While modern medicine relies heavily on pharmaceuticals and surgical interventions, there is growing interest in evidence-based alternative therapies, many of which have roots in Hippocratic principles. This renewed focus on natural and non-invasive treatments demonstrates the lasting impact of his medical philosophy. The ethical challenges posed by modern medical technology have also led to a reassessment of Hippocratic principles. With the rise of genetic engineering, artificial intelligence in medicine, and end-of-life care dilemmas, physicians and ethicists are revisiting the Hippocratic commitment to doing no harm, primum non nocere. Ethical debates surrounding euthanasia, genetic modification, and patient autonomy continue to be guided by fundamental questions that Hippocratic medicine first introduced. As medical capabilities expand, the need for a strong ethical foundation becomes even more critical, ensuring that technological progress does not come at the expense of human dignity and well-being. While many aspects of Hippocratic medicine have been replaced by modern scientific discoveries, its core values and ethical principles remain central to contemporary healthcare. The revival of holistic, preventive, and patient-centered approaches demonstrates that Hippocratic ideals continue to influence the way medicine is practiced today. As medical science advances, the timeless wisdom of Hippocrates serves as a reminder that healthcare is not just about curing disease, but about caring for the whole person. His enduring legacy ensures that medicine remains both an art and a science, dedicated to the well-being of humanity. One of the most enduring legacies of Hippocrates is the Hippocratic Oath, a moral and ethical code that has influenced medical practice for over 2 millennia. Originally composed in ancient Greece, the oath has undergone multiple transformations to reflect the values and challenges of different eras. Despite these changes, its core principles, dedication to patient welfare, respect for life, and commitment to ethical conduct, continue to guide physicians worldwide. The evolution of the Hippocratic Oath mirrors the progression of medicine itself, demonstrating how ethical considerations must adapt to scientific advancements and societal changes. The original Hippocratic Oath, written in the form of a solemn vow, bound physicians to uphold the highest standards of medical practice. Among its key tenets were the obligations to treat patients with compassion, avoid harm, respect teachers and colleagues, and maintain patient confidentiality. Additionally, the oath included specific prohibitions, such as refraining from performing abortions and euthanasia, which reflected the cultural and moral values of ancient Greek society. Although these provisions were deeply rooted in the beliefs of that time, they have remained a subject of debate in modern medical ethics. During the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, the Hippocratic Oath was widely adopted by European physicians, many of whom were trained in monastic or university settings. However, it was often modified to align with religious and philosophical beliefs. In Christian Europe, for instance, the oath was sometimes rewritten to emphasize the spiritual responsibilities of physicians, linking medical practice with divine duty. Similarly, in the Islamic world, scholars such as Ibn Sina, Avicenna, embraced Hippocratic principles but integrated them into the ethical teachings of Islam. These adaptations ensured that Hippocratic ideals remained relevant across different cultures and historical periods. By the 19th and early 20th centuries, the practice of swearing the Hippocratic Oath became a formal tradition in many Western medical schools. However, as medicine advanced, many aspects of the original oath became increasingly outdated. The rise of medical technology, reproductive rights, and end-of-life care raised ethical dilemmas that were not addressed in the ancient text. As a result, various modernized versions of the oath emerged, retaining its core ethical commitments while omitting or revising controversial elements. One of the most influential revisions was the Declaration of Geneva, adopted by the World Medical Association (WMA) in 1948 in response to the ethical abuses committed by Nazi physicians during World War II. This modern adaptation of the Hippocratic Oath emphasized the physician's duty to respect human rights, provide care without discrimination, and uphold medical confidentiality. Unlike the original oath, which was addressed to the gods of ancient Greece, the Declaration of Geneva was secular, reflecting the increasing separation of medicine from religious authority. In contemporary medical education, the Hippocratic Oath remains an important symbolic and ethical commitment, but its wording and application vary across institutions. Some medical schools continue to use a version of the traditional oath, while others adopt alternative pledges that emphasize bioethics, patient autonomy, and social justice. For example, the Percival Pledge, inspired by the 19th century physician Thomas Percival, places greater emphasis on professional integrity and the physician's role in society. Meanwhile, some schools allow students to write their own oaths, tailoring the ethical commitment to modern values and global challenges. A major ethical debate in modern medicine revolves around patient autonomy versus physician responsibility. While the Hippocratic Oath emphasizes the physician's duty to act in the best interest of the patient, contemporary medical ethics prioritize informed consent and respect for patient choices. This shift is particularly relevant in areas such as palliative care, euthanasia, and genetic modification, where patients seek greater control over their medical decisions. In countries where euthanasia or assisted suicide is legal, for instance, some physicians struggle to balance their personal ethical convictions with the wishes of their patients. This ongoing debate highlights the need for continual reinterpretation of Hippocratic ethics in light of evolving societal norms. Another modern challenge is the commercialization of medicine. The Hippocratic Oath calls for physicians to prioritize patient welfare over financial gain. Yet in many healthcare systems, economic pressures influence medical decision-making. The rise of pharmaceutical marketing, private healthcare, and corporate medicine has led to ethical concerns about conflicts of interest and the accessibility of care. Physicians today must navigate these challenges while remaining committed to the fundamental Hippocratic principle of placing patients' well-being above all else. The globalization of medicine has also expanded the ethical responsibilities of healthcare professionals. Issues such as pandemic response, climate change, and healthcare inequality require physicians to consider broader social and environmental factors in their practice. During the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, medical professionals had to make difficult ethical decisions regarding resource allocation, vaccination distribution, and public health measures. These challenges underscore the relevance of Hippocratic ethics in addressing contemporary global health issues. The Hippocratic Oath remains a vital ethical framework for medical professionals, even as its form and interpretation continue to evolve. While modern medicine has introduced new ethical dilemmas, the principles of compassion, integrity, and patient-centered care remain central to the physician's role. As medicine advances, the oath serves as a reminder that technological progress must be guided by ethical responsibility and humanistic values. The enduring influence of Hippocratic ethics ensures that, despite the complexities of modern healthcare, medicine remains dedicated to the principle of healing and the dignity of human life. The legacy of Hippocrates remains firmly entrenched in the foundation of modern medical practice, even as scientific advancements continue to propel the field forward. From his pioneering ideas on clinical observation to the ethical framework of the Hippocratic Oath, Hippocrates' influence has transcended the centuries, leaving an indelible mark on how medicine is both practiced and conceptualized today. As we stand at the intersection of biomedical advancements, technological innovation, and growing global health challenges, it is crucial to examine how the core principles laid out by Hippocrates will continue to guide and shape the future of medicine. One of the primary aspects of Hippocrates' legacy that remains at the heart of modern medical practice is his commitment to clinical observation. Despite the exponential growth of medical technology and the rise of complex diagnostic tools, the ability to observe patients carefully and attentively continues to be a foundational aspect of diagnosis and treatment. Hippocrates emphasized the importance of listening to patients' stories, understanding the context of their lives, and closely examining their physical symptoms. In an era where artificial intelligence and machine learning are beginning to play a larger role in diagnostics, it remains essential for physicians to balance these advancements with the compassionate and thoughtful care that Hippocrates espoused. The ability to integrate technological tools with human-centered observation is likely to be one of the defining aspects of future healthcare. Furthermore, Hippocrates' holistic approach to medicine, which recognizes the interconnectedness of body, mind, and environment, remains highly relevant today. The modern world faces an increasing number of chronic diseases that are deeply influenced by lifestyle choices, mental health, and environmental factors. Conditions such as obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and mental health disorders require a multifaceted approach that takes into account not only the biological aspects of the disease, but also the psychosocial, cultural, and environmental determinants of health. As the focus shifts from disease treatment to prevention and wellness, the holistic principles advocated by Hippocrates will likely see a resurgence in areas like integrative medicine, nutrition science, and behavioral health. This comprehensive approach will be essential in addressing the rising global burden of non-communicable diseases. The concept of preventive care is another key element of Hippocrates' legacy that is poised to shape the future of healthcare. Hippocrates believed that the best form of treatment was prevention, which is now a central pillar of modern medical practice. As the world grapples with the twin challenges of aging populations and increasing healthcare costs, there is a growing emphasis on preventive measures such as vaccination, health screenings, lifestyle interventions, and public health campaigns. Genomic medicine and precision health, which seek to tailor medical treatments based on individual genetic profiles, represent an extension of Hippocratic ideals of personalized care and proactive disease management. The integration of big data analytics and predictive models will allow healthcare providers to anticipate and mitigate potential health issues before they manifest, making Hippocrates' preventive approach more feasible and impactful than ever before. Despite these advancements, ethical considerations remain central to the practice of medicine, and Hippocrates' ethical framework continues to offer valuable guidance. The principles of non-maleficence, do no harm, beneficence, act in the patient's best interest, and autonomy, respect for patient choice, are crucial in modern medical decision-making, especially as new challenges arise in the realms of genetic modification, artificial intelligence in healthcare, and end-of-life decisions. The application of these ethical principles will become increasingly complex as technological advancements push the boundaries of what is medically possible. For instance, the advent of gene editing technologies like CRISPR raises profound ethical questions about the manipulation of human genetics. Similarly, the use of artificial intelligence to make medical decisions prompts concerns about accountability, transparency, and the potential dehumanization of care. It will be up to the medical community to navigate these challenges while remaining grounded in the ethical foundations laid by Hippocrates, ensuring that compassionate, patient-centered care remains at the core of the practice of medicine. The Hippocratic Oath, in its various modern forms, will also continue to shape the future of medical ethics. As medical professionals grapple with issues such as patient privacy, informed consent, and the commercialization of healthcare, the oath provides a moral compass that reinforces the physician's responsibility to act in the best interest of the patient. In an era where healthcare systems are increasingly privatized and driven by economic factors, the Hippocratic commitment to prioritizing patient welfare over financial gain remains more important than ever. Moreover, the globalization of medicine will require physicians to be culturally competent and to consider social justice as part of their ethical duty, ensuring equitable access to healthcare and addressing health disparities across different populations. The ethical challenges posed by global health issues like pandemics, climate change, and resource allocation will require medical professionals to broaden their understanding of care and social responsibility. As we look to the future, the rapid growth of medical technology will undoubtedly continue to alter the landscape of healthcare. Telemedicine, robotic surgery, artificial intelligence, and biotechnology are just a few of the innovations that are transforming how we diagnose, treat, and care for patients. However, as technology becomes increasingly integrated into healthcare, it is essential that we do not lose sight of the human aspects of care. Hippocrates' emphasis on empathy, compassion, and patient trust remains indispensable, even as the practice of medicine becomes more technology-driven. The challenge will be to ensure that high-tech solutions do not replace the human connection between physician and patient, but instead enhance the ability of healthcare providers to offer personalized, compassionate care. The future of medicine will also need to address the growing global health challenges that transcend national borders. Pandemics, climate change, and rising health disparities require a globalized approach to healthcare, with a focus on collaboration, resource sharing, and preventive measures. Hippocrates' understanding of the interrelationship between individual health and the environment offers a valuable framework for tackling these issues. The increasing interconnectedness of the world, coupled with the rise of global health initiatives and international health organizations, will demand a new level of cooperation between nations and healthcare providers. This collaborative approach will ensure that the principles of public health and social responsibility, which were fundamental to Hippocrates' philosophy, continue to guide the medical community as it faces the challenges of the 21st century. In conclusion, the legacy of Hippocrates will continue to shape the practice of medicine for generations to come. While the scientific and technological advancements of the modern era have fundamentally altered the field of medicine, the core principles of clinical observation, holistic care, preventive medicine, and ethical practice that Hippocrates introduced remain as relevant today as they were in ancient Greece. As we move forward into an increasingly complex and interconnected world, the enduring influence of Hippocrates will ensure that medicine remains a human-centered profession, dedicated not only to healing, but to upholding the dignity and well-being of every patient. The future of medicine will undoubtedly be shaped by the same spirit of inquiry and compassion that Hippocrates brought to the art of healing over 2 millennia ago.